I'm Antonio Felix. I'm the director of a couple programs in the School of Ed here at Loyola Marymount University. I work closely with the Place Core program, our CAST program, and also our Inclusive Education Certificate program. I'm accompanied by some very wonderful colleagues of mine. I'm going to briefly introduce myself and then give my colleagues an opportunity to share about who they are and the work that they do at LMU. Prior to my work at Loyola Marymount University, I was a Catholic school teacher and principal in the Archdiocese of Los Angeles for close to 15 years. So I like to think that I very much know the work that our participants are engaged in, and I have to shift that mindset where when I was a teacher and principal, it was never during a global pandemic. So I can never really say that I get it. But what I can say, however, is that Stephanie and I have supported over 200 teachers during a global pandemic, right? So we bring that credibility and compassion and understanding to our work. And we hope that it comes through today so that you kind of get a sense of who will be walking alongside you as you consider this journey at Loyola Marymount University. That's a little bit about who I am. I'd like to give my colleague, Ms. Stephanie Cervanti, an opportunity to share a little bit about herself so that you know who is also engaging with you today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Felix, and welcome everyone. As Dr. Felix mentioned, my name is Stephanie Cervanti. I am the Assistant Director of Student Success for the School of Education, and I also work with our students in Northern California, so which is where I live. But through my role with the Student Success, I work closely with the Commission on Teacher Counseling and work to make sure our candidates and our School of Education colleagues are up to date with all of the new credential requirements and various credential requirements. But I myself went through Catholic school for the majority of my K-12 and up through high school, college, and grad school. And so I have a tremendous appreciation for all that you do in your schools. So thank you for doing what you do, and thank you for being here. I will be around for questions, but mostly you will hear from Dr. Felix today. So thank you again, everyone.
Thank you, Stephanie. We're also joined today by a wonderful colleague of ours with the Graduate Admissions Office. I'd love to give Emily an opportunity to introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Emily Agnello. I'm the Assistant Director for Graduate Recruitment for all of LMU. So I do work with our 45 plus graduate programs. Thank you all so much for attending our open house today. I really hope you get all your questions answered and you walk away learning and knowing a lot more than you started with. So thank you so much for coming.
Thanks, Emily. And thank all of you for joining. And we love to know a little bit about you as well. So if you're able to, and if you have access to being able to put the following in the chat, we'd love to. Just your name, where do you teach, if you're currently teaching, what grade level do you teach, and if you're in Catholic Ed or teaching profession, how long have you been in teaching? If you are interested in becoming a teacher and you're here to learn more about our Place Core program, which is our pre-service teacher service corps, tell us about the grade level you're interested in teaching. That way, Stephanie and I engage with you throughout this presentation. We can tailor to your perspective, right? Either as a multiple subject candidate, a single subject candidate, a theology teacher, whatever it might be. We want to make sure we know that we are anticipating the types of questions you would normally have, given the kind of experience that Stephanie and I have in leading these info sessions. Also, please know that this is an introduction to our three programs we're going to be talking about today: the Place Core, the CAST, and also our Inclusive Education Certificate. But if you're in a private school, non-Catholic private school, this is a good presentation for you as well, because our sequencing, our courses, our academic program is designed in such a way that it will allow you to perhaps be in one of our cohorts, right? Especially in the CAST program, either CAST Southern California or CAST NorCal. Or you also have the possibility to take classes within our public school cohorts as well, right? So if you're either a Catholic school teacher, aspiring Catholic school teacher, or private school teacher, this is the right place for you. So thank you, Grisela, for sharing a little bit about you guys, about who you are. I see the rest of you putting in your information. So I'm going to go ahead and just get us started. I do share a presentation because it's the formal aspect of this presentation. Otherwise, believe me that I'd go off on and just talk about how wonderful you all are and the work that you're doing is. and how inspired I am by people who continue to do this work. But that would certainly drive us away from why you are here, I think. You're here to learn more about what it is that we're offering. So please excuse the formality in me having a formal PowerPoint presentation. Other than that, please see this as a conversation that we're having. I really do think that Stephanie and I will be able to answer most, if not all, of your questions. You can feel free to wait till the end of the presentation, which is fine, or stop me if you need to. I'll try to navigate that as I have a full screen on my end, but there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions. It's important that we talk about what caused us to the work that we do within the School of Ed and LMU. So Loyola Marymount University is a Jesuit Catholic university in the Marymount tradition. And we're really guided by these three pillars or these three tenets, right? Or our mission is grounded in these three ideals: the encouragement of lifelong learning and academic excellence, the education of the whole person, and the promotion of service and justice for all, right? I certainly see graduate studies as an extension or just a testament to the education of the whole person and seeking lifelong learning. Certainly the way our programs are designed, they are designed with these three principles in mind, right? And then certainly with you, the Catholic school educator, in mind as well. We're also committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion. LMU, specifically the School of Ed, we are a learning community that's committed to social justice. And you'll find in your work in either one of our three programs in the Catholic sector that they're developed with social justice constructs in mind. And a lot of these things you're doing already in your work as a Catholic school educator or private school teacher. But our role is to help you kind of operationalize what these are. And then so you're able to call out what it is that you're actually doing as a student, right? So the idea of bridging practice and theory is very important to us as a School of Ed. But more specifically, I'd like to briefly kind of go over these 3 points. One is to foster a stronger understanding of social justice inequities, historical and systemic forms of racism and oppression, to reduce institutional barriers for people of color and other marginalized groups, and then thirdly, to foster an inclusive culture in which all faculty, staff, and students can reach their full potential. These are what we think are the program benefits that are across all of our programs. And as we go through the rest of the presentation, I'll give you some individual what I think benefits are. These are the ones that I feel are embedded throughout all of three that I'll be talking about today. Small class sizes is very important. Your class sizes will range between 15 to 25 students, depending on cohort size. What's very cool about our cast and place core program, you get to take classes with each other. So as you know, those of you that are engaged already in Catholic Ed, you're probably the only third grade teacher at your school, you're the only fourth grade teacher at your school. So what tends to happen, you get to have a very singular dimension perspective, right? But when you're part of the CASH or Place Core program or Inclusive Education Certificate program, your network extends beyond just your own school, right? So even though these are small class sizes, you're taking them with other Catholic school educators. Of course, small class sizes or intimate size class sizes comes with individualized attention, and that's both in and outside the classroom, right? Stephanie and I serve as advisors for the CAS and PLACE program. Specifically, Stephanie works with our CAS in Northern California. I work with our CAS in Southern California and our PLACE Core fellows. So you get individualized attention in the sense that we hold you by the hand when it comes to registering and kind of understanding the culture of LMU. And when I say hold you by the hand, I mean that with so much respect, but it's a very intimate community of care that we offer. We tell you which classes to register for, when to register. As part of a cohort program or a cohorted program, you start together and you finish together, right? Again, individualized attention and community of care based on that, that principle of being a cohort program is very, very, very important to us. You'll be taught by expert faculty practitioners. So your professors are either current Catholic school educators, former Catholic school educators, either in the teacher rank or administrative ranks, are full-time tenured faculty, have been teaching our Catholic school educators for years and through a number of cohorts. So they understand your experience as a Catholic school or private school educator, right? They understand that you take on multiple commitments. And for those of you who are seeking to go into the Catholic schools sector or context, that's exactly what you will have. You will have someone that will help, that will shepherd you and foster you into this kind of culture of a very small, family-oriented experience in Catholic schools. Translates well into our experience here at LMU. You'll get direct fieldwork experience where we help you bridge that theory and practice in pre-K to 12th grade schools, either through a fieldwork instructor or through the expertise and experience of our faculty members. And what I think is a very cool, unique quality of our program is that you are able to participate in these programs, and your classes are either on Saturdays or evening courses. For our place core and cast, currently, I would say over 90% of your classes are held on Saturdays until you get to the master's section of it. For our inclusive education certificate, we're actually making our way into that space where we know our Catholic school educators prefer Saturday courses. So these are the three programs that I will be specifically talking about. And I'll be kind of giving you a general introduction to them. And at the end, I'll talk about how there are other opportunities after today for you to learn more intricate details about these three programs. So our Place Core program. Our Place Core program is designed as a teaching credential and MA degree program. So while you are living in community with other aspiring Catholic school teachers, you are earning your preliminary teaching credential or teacher certification for the state of California and your MA degree in transformative education. But what's unique about the Place Core program is that if you are not in the Catholic school space yet, you're a recent undergraduate who is interested in service through education, the Place Core program is for you. So what I do as part of as program director is I find you a job within our Catholic school network here in the Archdiocese of LA. We have partnered with the Archdiocese of San Bernardino and the Diocese of Orange, but for cohort 23, which is the cohort we are recruiting for, we'll be placing specifically in the Archdiocese of LA. You live in an intentional supportive community, or what we call Place Core residences. And while you're living in community, you are also practicing not only intentional community gatherings, but you're also in a spiritual connection with those that you live with and for, right? So we like to think and say that placers are not, they're not roommates, but rather you're something a lot deeper than that. You are intentional community members with and for each other. Place Core is guided by these three pillars: professional development, community living, and faith formation. The professional development pillar is lived out through your full-time employment as a Catholic school teacher, and also as your full-time status as a graduate student. So that's the professional development hat that you wear. For community living, as I mentioned earlier, you live in one of our 5 residences. They're former convents. So if I by accident I say you live in a convent, I promise you're not being prepared for religious life. You're not being prepared to take vows as a religious sister or nun, but rather you live in community with other placers, other Catholic school teachers. So studies and research show us that the 3 main reasons people leave the profession within their first 5 years are the following: lack of mentorship, poor induction, and lack of leadership at the school's level. Place Core kind of checks all those off. just with the community living pillar alone, right? You'll be living with other teachers that, other teachers who are either in the second year or first year of the program who will mentor you and guide you. We have an extensive alumni, a network that is very active still within the LA community and also beyond. And then what other profession do you get to go home to other members of that profession, right? Imagine that you get to go home to a house full of teachers that are understanding and literally living your experience. So the Place Core program is grounded in the idea of being communal, right? Rather than just showing up to sleep at a residence within LA County. And the third pillar is our faith formation pillar, right? I mentioned earlier that you engage in spiritual activities with your community members. What that typically looked like is our fellows go to mass together. They go to adoration together. They pray every Tuesday. So we have time carved out for each community on Tuesday nights, typically, where you have spiritual community nights. And that exists in multiple ways, and it looks different in every Place Core community, but it's grounded in Jesuit and Ignatian spirituality. Those that participate in the Place Core program are able to leave our program debt-free. And what that means is we establish or we outline for you a way for you to a financial kind of model that will allow you to be a graduate student for 2 years while gaining a full-time salary at your school site and leave the program debt-free. So we offer a very generous scholarship to offset your tuition. At the same time, you are already receiving your full-time salary. So you're not an intern, right? You're not a student teacher. You are it. You are the teacher of record. You're the one having those great conversations with students, with parents, having to put up with your administrator, right? So you are the full-time teacher. You're not you're not the student teacher in the traditional sense of how we understand it. We prepare you from the summer throughout that first year to really take on that role as a full-time teacher of record. And as I mentioned in a previous slide, all of our Place Core fellows take classes on Saturdays, and these are online classes. But there's both synchronous and asynchronous, which means that you actually get to engage with a professor and classmates. It's not just taking, online classes as if it was like a driver's ed course or something, right? It's you actually engaging with the professors and your classmates. It's not every single Saturday, right? So you don't give up every Saturday for the fall and spring semester. It is on most Saturdays of the fall and spring semester, where you are synchronously logging on and engaging. Our CAS program shares the exact same academic program as our Place Core program. The biggest difference between these two, when I first got here in 2017, people were almost kind of like sister programs or brother programs. I think they're more like cousins, right? And the reason why they're like cousins is because they share the same academic program, right? So the same kind of blood, right, runs through both of these programs, which is that academic piece. But what's different is the experience. The placers live with other placers in one of our 5 residences. The CAS program, we're currently recruiting for CAS cohort 37. You get to be a caster, as we call you, from anywhere, from home, right? With, obviously you bring different experiences when you're a CAS. And also you already come to the CAS program with a full-time teaching position, right? So you already have that element. I don't have to find you a job as a member of the CAS program. I said we are recruiting for CAS cohort 37. I'm a proud graduate of CAS cohort 2. That ages me quite a bit. It only says that I did this program about, I would say 17 years ago, right? We recruit 2 cohorts per year, so that, it's been at least 17 years since I started the CAS program. Our coursework is also on Saturdays, so you get to take classes with members in our Place Core program. Our CAS program right now, currently, is throughout 9 dioceses and archdioceses in California. So we partner with the Archdiocese of LA, Orange, San Bernardino. We have teachers from the Archdiocese of San Francisco, the Diocese of Sacramento, Oakland, Stockton, Fresno. We have a teacher that moved from Archdiocese of LA to the Diocese of San Jose. She was able to do that because of the way our program is designed. She didn't have to leave her program midway. So remember I talked about that extension of network, and I mean it goes beyond just members of the Archdiocese of LA or whatever diocese you are visiting us from today. Your network in Catholic Ed automatically becomes statewide, right? I can't think of any other program in the nation that has that many dioceses within a state doing such great work in Catholic schools. So you get to be part of something much, much bigger than our immediate kind of reach or geography. We also offer a very generous CAS scholarship, and it ranges between the different regions. And our CAS scholarship starts at least 40%, and it could go up from there as well, depending on which region you are in. When you come to our specific info session for either Place Corps or CAS, we tell you more specifically, depending on which region you're visiting from, what to expect in regards to your CAS scholarship. But right now it ranges between 40% to up to 70%, depending on which school you are located at. And although I'm passionate, and hopefully it's coming across, passionate for the Place Corps program and the CAS program, I've been directing those programs since I got to LMU. But I recently got involved with a certificate in inclusive teaching program. This is a 15-unit certificate program that is really designed for educators who either already have their teaching credential or their master's program, and they feel they've gotten enough, right? Either through Place Corps or CAS, but want something more to help them increase their pedagogy and meeting the needs of all learners, right? Be able to support them in meeting the needs of diverse learners in our Catholic schools. And we know they exist, you guys. Our Catholic schools, because we say we open our doors to all who are in need or want a Catholic education, we take in naturally students with diverse learning needs, right? Or with special learning needs. And when this happens, most likely it's happening in our general education classroom, right? Very few Catholic schools that I know of have the capacity to be able to have a special education program. So in response to that, what LMU has done, or the School of Ed at LMU has done, we've created an inclusive education certificate to support our general education teachers in meeting the needs of all of our learners, right? So that's exactly what the certificate program does, right? It provides teachers and administrators with the knowledge and skills to effectively educate students with disabilities in our pre-K to 12th grade general ed classrooms. It's 1 year, it starts in the fall, and it ends in summer 1, so in August of 2023, and it'll end in early June of 2024. It's 15 semester graduate level units, right? And those units range between each, I think it starts off with 4 in the fall, 6 in the spring, and then the remaining 4 happen in that summer 1 session. It includes an activity-based practicum at your current school site. So there is a practicum aspect of it, right? Where you are implementing the different strategies that you're learning in the certificate program. Some of the graduate level units from this certificate program can be applied to select School of Ed MA programs, right? So you're able to then, if you already have a master's degree or are seeking a new or new one or your first, you're able to use some of these units to help you get that MA degree as well. We are also an online program where it's mixed with synchronous and asynchronous sessions. The last time we had a cohort, they were mostly on weekdays. Now that I'm working closely with this program as the program contact for the certificate, I'm going to bring over some of the the best practices that I have learned with Place Core and CAS into this certificate program. So I'm envisioning that most of our classes might also be on Saturdays as well. So something I'm very excited about, to kind of transfer what I'm learning, what I've learned in my other roles at LMU, to transfer them over here, right? So you'll be, again, be able to take classes with other Catholic school educators who are passionate about meeting the diverse learning needs of all of our students. We also have very generous scholarships available to our certificate in inclusive teaching program. That scholarship also starts at 40%, and we're currently working with, we have a very intentional effort right now to hopefully increase that scholarship. So we'll learn more in the next month or so about as to how much we can offer for our incoming cohort this fall. These are the general admission requirements. Each program has some very particular ones. These are the general ones. Again, I keep saying this, and I hope to, this is just a teaser, right? Kind of like when you go to the movies, this is a very long, what do you call that thing? Trailer or whatever it might be, right? This is a very long one, but it's to get you kind of excited, I hope, and wanting to learn more about our other programs. At the end, I'll tell you some very intentional ways to go into these different info sessions, either with Stephanie, myself, to be able to learn more about the intricate details of these programs. But the general admission requirements, all of our programs do require a personal statement of intent. So it ranges between 2 to 4 pages, a double spaced 12-point font, Times New Roman. I always like to say that's the first test, right? Who will follow the directions to the statement of intent guidelines? And even if you don't, I still read it. I still enjoy kind of, reading your story. Sometimes people write 5 to 6 pages, single space, and I love it. I don't mind it. I read them anyway. And I know Stephanie does too. But specifically, typically around 2 to 4 pages, where you tell us about what has called you to this particular program or certificate. We will require official transcripts from your bachelor's degree. If you did community college or junior college, we will also need those as well, especially if you are seeking your credential with us, either in the Place Core program or in the CAS program, because we use some of that coursework to determine whether you've met some requirements, right? That Stephanie will talk about in the next, I wouldn't say next slide, but below the top portion of this slide. A letter of recommendation. For the Place Core, we require 3 letters of rec. In the CAS program and in the certificate in inclusive education program, we only require 1 letter of rec, typically from your principal. We want a current resume just to kind of see the work that you've done, especially in our Place Core program, where you come to us with little or no prior teaching experience. We kind of want to see what has shaped you as an aspiring Catholic school teacher. And for our Place Core program, we do have an interview, right? We do have an interview for our Place Core program. It's rather extensive and very particular about what we look for in regards to those who are seeking service in our Catholic schools as a placer for 2 years. I'd love to now hand it over to my colleague Stephanie, who will talk about the different credential program requirements. Please know these are not prerequisites for an application, but I think the earlier you get to learn about what these credential program requirements are, the more advantage you will have as you enter one of our programs. Stephanie.
Thank you, Dr. Felix. In case you aren't aware of the requirements that the state have are listed here on the screen, but these are requirements that the state has because it is actually the state that is giving you your credential after you've met the coursework requirements, after you've met the external testing and assessment requirements as well. What LMU does is work with you to ensure that you're on track and supporting you and advising you to the various requirements here. So on the screen here, you'll see a sampling of the requirements that these, as Dr. Felix mentioned, aren't requirements that you need to meet before admissions, but you could certainly start start to work on them. So the first is the certificate of clearance, which is a combination of fingerprinting and a background check. That's typically something that candidates will do towards the end of the program, but it is something that the state says we need to make sure that if they are going to be issuing you a credential, that you've met this background check. Often you'll, if you are currently working in a Catholic school, your schools will have you do a fingerprint or live scan, and that would be separate from this just because there is a specific one that needs to be done. But again, Dr. Felix, myself, and the other team here at LMU support you and guide you through exactly what you need with that. The other one is the basic skills requirement, and there are a variety of ways to meet these to meet this requirement. It used to be just commonly done through the CBEST exam, so some of you may have heard about that through fellow colleagues at your schools, or maybe your principal has shared that because that might be how they may have met it. The state recently passed a law that allowed different options, including coursework. So once you're admitted to LMU, we'll look at your transcript with you and see if you've met one of how you've met the various components of the basic skills requirement. There's a component in reading, one in writing, and one in mathematics. And if by chance you haven't met it through coursework, there are still those other options as far as the CBEST. We also work with you to determine SAT scores, ACT scores, advanced placement. So we always exhaust any options that you may have met it other than having to go take another exam. There's the U.S. Constitution requirements. There's 3 ways to meet that. One is through if you were a Cal State University system graduate with your bachelor's degree, you've automatically met it. So there's nothing else you need to do. The other 2 options are either us looking at prior coursework that covers, if you took a course that covers the provisions of the U.S. Constitution, or you can also take an external exam, which we would guide you through exactly what that exam was. The subject matter competence requirement is in the area of what you are teaching. So if you're a math teacher, the state says that you need to have background knowledge in the subject of math. That was most commonly met through the CSAT exam. Again, similar to the basic skills requirement, fellow colleagues or your principal may have referenced that before. At that same time, the law changed for the basic skills requirement. They also changed the option for us to look at seeing if maybe your major meets the requirement or other coursework with that. So again, we guide you and support you through that as well. And then one of the other requirements listed on here is the teaching performance assessment. At LMU, we use the national normed one, which is the EdTPA. That's something through your coursework that we guide you through, and it's your kind of one way to look at it, but not officially this way is your culminating project, but it's where you're demonstrating your video recording yourself, you're demonstrating yourself teaching, as well as writing on your teaching experience with that. And again, we don't teach to it, but we guide you through it in your course. There are a couple other requirements not listed here, but know that as soon as you become an LMU student, we work with you and guide you through those requirements so that not only are we providing the support with the coursework, but guidance and support of meeting these external exams. So once you've met all of these exams, once you've met all of your coursework requirements, we can then recommend you to the state for your California teaching credential. So thank you, Dr. Felix, for this opportunity to speak to them.
Thank you, Stephanie. And Stephanie really is the guru of credential program requirements. And she's a person I go to, but I always tell her she needs to become governor of California so we can revise some of these, especially the way, we meet basic skills and subject matter competence. I think when Stephanie becomes governor of California, we'll have it revised slightly.
Yeah, right after inauguration, Dr. Felix, my first initiative with that. And we say that very lovingly to one another, in part because we know that they sometimes can feel like hurdles with that. And so that's why we at LMU really work with you to support you through those. Always find the smoothest and least the words on the tip of my tongue, but the least intrusive, if you will. So if wherever we can work with you to save finances, save you from having to take an exam, we really work with you on that and are here to support and guide you through this process too. So yeah,
Thanks,
thank you.
Stephanie. All right, let's go on to show must go on here. All right. So this is our current per unit cost. Like at your schools, our per unit cost goes up every fall. So by the fall, it will be a different, slightly higher amount, and typically ranges between 3 to 5%. Catholic educator scholarships are available by program. You're able to explore a little bit more about our scholarships in that link that I have there. I'll see if I can drop that in the chat as well. We have a financial aid open house session today. I won't tell you specifically any percentages because those are program specific, but it'll give you a very general sense of how to apply for financial aid. In fact, I recommend all of you to complete your FAFSA application for many reasons. One of them is to hope, may perhaps help you in offsetting the difference in the percentage that perhaps you're not getting from the scholarship. But also, there's times throughout the year that scholarship opportunities are presented, and when financial need is one of the criteria that we look at for giving a scholarship, our financial aid office looks at the FAFSA. They look for FAFSA in order to be able to determine that. So I always say complete it. I always highly recommend that you get it done. You don't have to be in the program, and completing it doesn't commit you to anything. It's used as a tool for you to look at, what resources will be available to you upon being admitted to the program. Some upcoming specialized information sessions. As I mentioned earlier, Stephanie and I on Saturdays throughout the spring semester, we give information sessions for both our CAS Southern California interested applicants and also CAS Northern California partnerships. That includes the Central Valley candidates or applicants as well. So this is that's the link that you could use to be able to help you get that information. But the next couple of slides is a QR code that will assist you in accessing it. But I really want you to kind of consider joining one of those other sessions because we go over the academic program, the breakdown of units per semester. It's a little bit more intentional. Actually, we have an hour for each program specifically. Today, like I mentioned earlier, it's an introduction to these 3 different programs. So hopefully you consider joining us and continuing to engage. The more questions you have, the more questions we hope we get to answer for you. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to get more from us, right? We're here to answer any and every possible question you might have. Even if we don't have answers, Stephanie and I are really good at pointing you to the right direction where you are able to get them. Here is our student resource sessions. I think will be also happening today. Please stop by and visit those. Our graduate division, our graduate program division and admissions office has done a good job at putting different sessions for you, making them available so that you're able to get a stronger flavor of what LMU is. Remember, today we're talking about School of Ed, but we want you to feel at home when you think about LMU, right? And all the things that we talked about, the very intentional partnership that we take through application, through graduation, is universal. It's not just specific and reserved for the place court program, the CAS program, or even our School of Ed in general, right? Our LMU community, you'll find, is a resource for you, and they're going to be there to answer every question you might have. So join the financial aid presentation at 6. There's a graduate student presentation at 6:30. And then if you are an international student, there's an international admission session for you as well. There's my mugshot there in case you want to have any other questions. Feel free to reach out to me. My colleagues, Mary Frazier and Anthony Mangar, are also available for you in regards to application. But Stephanie and I are also a resource for you. Okay, we're also a resource for you as well. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us so that we're able to help you. Stephanie, I know if you're able to drop your email in the chat, that way, if you're joining us and you're interested in CAS Northern California, Stephanie will be your point of contact. If you're CAS or Place Core or Inclusive Education Certificate Program, I'm your point of contact. But Mary Frazier and Anthony Magar are also there to assist you. They're every program within School of Ed. Then of course we have Emily, who helps with the 40+ program at LMU. For more information on Place Core and CAS, please use that QR code. It'll send you to a link that will allow you to input your information to further kind of grab information from us and us from you, right? So we're able to partner with you in sending out more info session dates to you and for you. All right, I'm going to stop sharing now so I can see your beautiful screens. I had a chance to take a look at the chats while Stephanie was talking, and I see a lot of familiar names and schools as well. I'm very close with Sacred Heart Elementary School. I certainly have worked with them before many a times. Of course, the Verb is in the house with Ann. So the Verb is, we're very proud of partnering with Verbum Day High School, a fellow Jesuit partner. Then certainly Dolores Mission, another Jesuit community that we're very proud to constantly partner with. So thank you guys for joining. Please know that we have about 15 minutes for Q&A. And if we aren't able to fully engage, I want to make sure you guys get to participate in the other activities as well. You have my email, so don't hesitate to reach out to me so I'm able to answer any questions that come up after this presentation. So I just feel like if we're sitting down at in a conversation, you wouldn't necessarily raise your hand to ask me a question. You just kind of would join in. So feel free to unmute yourself and ask away. I'm here to answer any questions you might have. And don't be shy.
Hey, hi. Thank you so much for hosting this.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
No, thank you. I don't want to monopolize it, so we can totally take this offline.
Yeah.
Because I think I'm probably unique, having read the comments, that I'm not actually a teacher. I've just been working in the Catholic school arena for the past since 2015. And this is only my first year in California. I actually just moved here to work at Verb. So
very cool. Welcome to LA. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, the Jesuits have my whole heart. So I'm so impressed with LMU and just everything out here. But with regards to the program, am I too old for this? Or and obviously we can totally talk offline.
Yeah, no, let's connect. No,
okay.
What's beautiful about our CAS program, we certainly, it's a program designed for the novice teacher. Mm-hmm. And it's also a program designed for the experienced teacher who hasn't been able to get their teaching credential or master's program. So we have teachers in the CAS program throughout different levels. We have first and second year teachers, and we've partnered with teachers who've been in Catholic Ed for 15 to 20 years, but just haven't had the right program, right, to be able to start to get their certification and master's degree. And a lot of it, and has to do also with a program that's not designed specifically for them. One thing I didn't mention when I was talking about CAS is when you are part of the CAS program, unlike a traditional teaching program, you have to leave your final semester to go do your 600 hours of student teaching. In the CAS program, you wouldn't have to do that. Instead, what we do is we send a fieldwork instructor or fieldwork supervisor to your school for you to do your clinical practice with your own students at your own school. Again, another unique quality that keeps you in your full-time role, in your full-time teaching position, so you don't have to leave your job to go do student teaching. You get to do it at Dolores Mission, at the Verb, at Sacred Heart, right? You get to do it at your own school. Certainly, Anne, I'm happy for us to connect because I just read also a little bit about your current role and what that might look like. And I think there's some options for you. So let's go ahead and connect to see what best fits your needs. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I'm going to email you when we finish this to set up a time. Yay. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Hi, I have a question.
Yes.
So I've started my the teaching credential program at Mount St. Mary's, but I do want to transfer to Loyola. Am I good to do that? Am I allowed to do that?
Yeah, well, you're certainly able to pick a program that's best for you, that's right for you, that kind of has the infrastructure or the structure that best fits your needs. Certainly, I'm a proud graduate of Mount St. Mary's Clear Credential program, so I know the great work they're doing there too.
They're
I'm
amazing.
happy you're considering both, and you already got to experience one of them. So I'm certainly grateful for you being here today. We do have a policy that you're able to transfer up to 16 units. I apologize, 6 units. I said 16, I meant 6 units. So keep that in mind as you kind of make this decision. Most of the time, the 6 units that are transferred over are those first semester 6 units, either the Intro to Teaching and Learning class, the English learner class. But Stephanie and I essentially, when we have students in your case that come to us, we present your coursework that you're thinking of transferring, or those 6 units, to our academic program director, who ultimately makes a decision on whether or not they transfer over. And also, one thing to consider, Ms. Mercado, is this, that although they might transfer over and help you with the credential, it might not transfer over and help you with the MA, right? So you might still have to take some units to fulfill those MA. So it's almost on a case-by-case basis. But indeed, to answer your question, are you able to? Certainly, I think you have the agency to make a decision that best fits your needs on whether or not you want to now join this program to kind of facilitate your professional goals.
Thank you so much for the information.
You're welcome.
Oh, one question. So like if I would want to start that application, is that a different application or it's still the same application for applying to the credential program, the CAST program?
Yeah, so great question. When you open up an application for the CAST program, you will have the option to select what the pathway might be. So you essentially have 3 pathways for the CAST program. The first pathway is credential only, right? And we get some of those every now and then. The majority of our CAST program candidates are seeking, I'm gonna call it pathway 3. I often feel like when I say option, I feel like I'm setting Tupperware, like option A has 2 lids and whatever, right? I promise you, they're all wonderful. So pathway A is a credential only pathway. Someone who might be seeking that is someone who wants to, who might already have a master's degree perhaps, or very simply put, are only interested in the credential. If you start this summer, you will be done with the credential coursework in summer 1 of 2024. So our credential only pathway is from August of 2023 through early June of 2024, right? Which is pretty cool, right? That's for the credential only. So the credential only pathway is either 19 units if you're a single subject candidate, or 21 units if you are a multiple subject candidate. And remember I said the credential coursework is done in June. Doesn't mean you get your credential in June. As Stephanie mentioned earlier, the state of California grants you that credential. If you've met those requirements, we'll start recommending you upon your completion of the coursework.
Okay.
Then we have pathway B, or pathway number 2. Is if you're interested in the master's only.
Okay.
Right? And who typically wants a master's only? Well, we realize that we have full-time Catholic school educators that might be in a subject area or in a role at their school that doesn't require a credential. For example, we might have a theology teacher, right? Or campus minister, where they don't need, for example, a teaching credential. And even if they needed it, the state of California doesn't grant a theology credential, right? So, but we have folks in our Catholic schools who they know they want to teach theology for the rest of their career, or the campus minister, or in missions, or in admissions, whatever it might be. So they want to take advantage of the CAST program because it's designed for Catholic school educators, right? And there's a master's degree in transformative education that also helps foster their work in Catholic schools, or just in diverse school settings in general. So they want to maximize that. So that's why that we have the option B or pathway B, master's only. And here it goes, you guys, where I sound like I'm selling the, the 6 charolas or 6 cacerolas with the 7 lids, whatever it might be. Option C or pathway C is our most popular option. It's where about 98% of our fellows or our casters are taking option C, the master's and the credential. And I think there's multiple reasons why. And these are the reasons that some students have articulated why. First is that the coursework for year 1 is the same for the credential only, is the same coursework for option B and the same coursework for option C. So even if you came in with thinking credential only, you're like, I don't want a master's, I just want to get out next June. But you have like this realization by the end of the fall semester that you want to continue for the MA. There's an opportunity for you to add the MA, and you haven't wasted any time because that coursework you've been engaged in counts towards the MA degree. So some programs, some teacher prep programs have a credential 1 or 2 years and then a master's. Ours is designed where the first year of coursework or summer of 2023 to June of 2024 is credential and master's if you continue into the master's program, right? So you'll be done with your master's in May of 2025, right? So you'll be done with the master's in May of 2025. And what's also cool, even if you finish the credential in June, you could get credentialed, start the new academic year in 2024 as a credentialed teacher. That helps you in the pay scale. It helps you in your ability to help the students, right? So there's some benefits as well in the way our program is designed, right? The fact that it starts in summer allows you to finish by that first summer session with your credential, hopefully get recommended, get your credential, and start the new academic year as a credentialed teacher who is working on their MA degree, right? So it's all very intentional as to how we designed it. I think I gave you my pitch for our most, our golden package already, but I think you choose the pathway that's best for you. And even if you started as a MA and credential student, and at the end of the first year, you're like, wait a minute, I'm done, right? Like I'm exhausted. You have a way of pausing as well, right? And still, being recommended. So essentially, you don't have to wait those 2 years to get that recommendation. As long as you've met the coursework and those requirements, you get to be recommended. And you could always return within, of course, a good, a qualified time frame to get that MA degree if you chose to pause, right? Hopefully that's a lot, but I think it encompasses most of those.
Very helpful.
Yeah, I think those questions would have come up anyway.
I have one more question, but I'm giving anyone an opportunity to ask theirs first.
So you might have it for them, but yeah.
I have one quick question. Sorry. Hello. So for the credential only, when does that session start? Did you say August or June? Sorry.
Yeah, great question. I might have said August. I'm used to starting fall terms, but it really is summer too. So thank you, Griselda, for that follow-up question. We traditionally had a spring and fall cohort. We now have a spring cohort that starts in January, and our next cohort starts in June, the last week of June. So yes, summer session too. So you actually start sooner. So thank you, Griselda, for that great clarifying question. We planned it, you guys. Griselda and I planned it because I wanted to see how well you guys were listening. No, thank you, Griselda. I appreciate that. Yeah. So summer 2 through summer 1 is when you would partake in the credential coursework.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Okay, so now my question. So I work at a independent Catholic school. Does that affect my status if I can apply to the CAS program?
What school are you at?
Alverno Heights.
Oh, yeah, we partner with Alverno. No, you are within the Archdiocese of LA.
Yeah,
that works for us.
Professors works here.
Yeah, Lisa Connecto. Yeah, we love her around here. She'll be your professor for the first semester typically, or at some point, either first or second.
Okay.
But yeah, we have many teachers from Alverno, both the lower school and then the upper school as well.
Yeah, most of our teachers attended to Loyola.
Yeah. Yeah. Keep sending them. We enjoy the Alverno teachers.
Okay, we will. Thank you.
Very cool. Yeah, well, thank you guys. We have a couple, like 3 minutes left. Please make the effort to join the other sessions. Brenda, I see you unmuted. That's sometimes a good indicator of wanting to say something, so I could get right to you. Please go to those, and then let's stay engaged, you guys, whether it's through email or phone call or an info session that's coming up. I'd love to see you again and tell you a little bit more about the work that we're doing and how this really was tailored for you, right? It was tailored for the Catholic school teacher. Brenda, did you have a question? I saw that you briefly unmuted. All right.
I don't think so. I think it was just like I had talked to Ms. Vasquez and she had said it was like a preliminary credential, and I wanted to make sure it was like I was confused about that. Like, if it's preliminary, what does she mean by that?
Yeah,
I'm not
great
sure.
question, Brenda. I'll let my colleague Stephanie answer that. I think she knows the process very well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Felix, and thank you, Brenda, for that question. The state has a variety of tiers of credential, and so the first tier, if you will, is the preliminary credential, which is available to the Catholic school practitioners, such as yourself, and which that credential is good for 5 years. And within those 5 years, you can then work with an induction program to what's called clearing your credential, and where you would receive a clear credential. And then that essentially becomes, for lack of better phrasing, your lifetime credential, with renewing every 5 years or so. But the credential program that LMU has is the preliminary one, where the coursework and all of those assessments plus a few others would then meet those preliminary credential requirements.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you so much.
No, absolutely, Brenda.
Thanks, Stephanie. Yes, thank you, Brenda. We give you the preliminary is that first step, right? Then eventually you have to clear, which is why I said earlier that I cleared my credential over at Mount St. Mary's. After I did my CAS program and I got my preliminary, I had 5 years to then clear it. And I chose Mount St. Mary's because of how accessible it was to the school I was teaching at. Yeah. All right, you guys. Thank you. It's 6 o'clock. Pórtense bien, be good to each other and everyone else you encounter. I'm grateful for the time we spent together. May God bless you. Y que Dios los bendiga.